We are with the Devel 16. This has been a long-awaited moment for me, seeing this car in real life versus, well, the internet, where anything is possible. Here it is in real life, for real. This is here. I can almost reach out and touch it. I don't think it's a hologram. I do think it's here. I've looked around, I didn't see any lenses or cameras projecting things, so I'm pretty sure it's a real car. I've always thought the way it looked is great, and it definitely has road presence. We are here in a hall of exotic cars, and this thing is in a league of its own. A couple of quick facts, there's 3 versions, so there's gonna be a V8 version with 2,000 horsepower, and then the V16 made by Steve Morris Engines out of Texas, which will be running 3,000 horsepower on pump gas, and then with race fuel, 5,007 horsepower. The 5,007 horsepower is going to be a track-only version, and whereas the other 2 versions will be for road use. Wow, the body's just falling off this thing. The longer I look at it, the more things I notice. So let's get into the fun stuff. I went through the YouTube comments and Reddit and a few forums just to look for the questions that people have, so we can really take a look at this thing and figure out what's really going on here. Is that steering wheel a Nintendo Switch? I can definitely say that you do not want to be holding onto this thing at 320,000 kilometers an hour, but it's not a Nintendo Switch. I mean, a Nintendo Switch has an engineering and production quality and some craft that's gone into it. My son has one, it's a beautiful device. This, I wouldn't insult the Nintendo Switch that way. Let's look at the interior. I'm just reading this quote for quote, absolute garbage. I have seen Civics with better interiors. Ouch. You can see there is some glue showing, but so does the Ferrari F40's interior. Yeah, there's a couple of screws that you can see here, and so does the first gen Lotus. So, I mean, maybe we're judging it too hard. Now, there is some panel gaps. Well, actually, I can't really think of any excuses for panel gaps. All the modern cars here don't have panel gaps. I can probably stick my finger underneath the door gap. I don't know. So the comment is, this car will eat tires just like it eats gas. Yes and no. I mean, 5,000 horsepower applied to that much rubber, let's say 345, will definitely destroy the tires. However, computer controlled management is going to allow you to adjust the throttle to, only put out 200 horsepower or 300 or whatever you can use to put the car down. And with engine management, sensors, and throttle position, I wouldn't worry too much about tires. Now, that being said, if you take the traction control off, if that's an option, you will need new tires and probably a new set of underwear. There's no tire on the market that can handle 5,000 horsepower. That's kind of a misnomer. I mean, there are drag cars with 10,000 horsepower that can do, top speeds of 335 miles an hour for 0.3 seconds. So it's not that it's not possible to put down 10,000 horsepower. However, the speeds that we're talking about here for a road tire, regardless of horsepower, 300 miles an hour, that's not possible. So with Bugatti Chiron, Michelin developed a tire. They limited the speed to 261 miles an hour because the tires would rip off of it. They have a secret tire that they're working on that's got 280 miles an hour potential, but 300, no, definitely not. One of the things I was hoping to get today was a look at the engine bay. It's not open, we can't access it. The V16, the claimed V16 with the 5,000 horsepower, and people are saying that's not what it is. We've heard it running with supercar Blondie, like this is a V8. But realistically, I think that's unfair, guys. Like we can't open the latch. We don't know if it's a V8 for sure. This could be a 3-liter diesel, which would help with the emissions and some of the other heat extraction problems. So that's my guess, 3-liter diesel. So there's been a lot of questions about aerodynamics on this car and whether, it's capable of doing the 300 miles an hour that it's potentially claimed to do. And yes, there's airflow, and yes, there's heat extraction, and there's a ton of issues, but let's just look at the very basics of it. So if you were to put this in a wind tunnel, what is the drag coefficient just based on area? Let's not even worry about whether it's slipstream. So I brought my tape measure because I'm curious how big this car is. Nobody has any numbers. Devel hasn't released anything. We'll just get a rough measurement. Obviously, it's not gonna be perfect. You guys can debate on that. Oh man, 2 meters, 6.5 feet wide, 43 inches, 45. It's relatively low. It's not too bad, but again, it's pretty wide. I know that, small wheelbase, nice and nimble, but this thing is crazy. So there's the wheelbase. We're like 11.5 on the wheelbase. Okay, now that we have the measurements of the car, we can figure out the total horsepower required to push this brick through the air. So what we've got here is the formula for calculating the force of drag and then calculating that into horsepower. I've calculated those off camera. If you want to know more about them, let me know, I'll make another video. Long story short, it requires about 4,000 horsepower to achieve 300 miles an hour. As horsepower goes up, so does the potential top speed. With 148 horsepower, you can achieve a top speed of 100 miles an hour. To get up to 200 miles an hour, you require 1,186 horsepower. And to go up to 300 miles an hour, you need a whopping 4,002 horsepower. Using the Devel's theoretical 5,007 horsepower, it can reach a theoretical 323.21 miles per hour. So on paper, this car, it's real. We came, we saw, we conquered. Looking at this car now in person, I have a better idea of what it is. Is it a production road car? No. No, it's not. Clearly, mechanics and engineering and ergonomics, etc., that wasn't the starting place for this car. It was more like, hey, I have an idea. I'd like to have a really fancy car. And then, you know, you drew it, and then you made a body, and that's as far as you went. You didn't make brakes, you didn't make a chassis. You didn't do all the things you need to do when you're building a car. I mean, is it a car? I don't think so. I don't think we can call it a car. It's not. It has 4 wheels, but it's just, it's not. It's a meme. It's an internet troll, and we've all been played. So well done, Devel. If I was a rich, wealthy person and I had a lot of money, I'd probably pull a joke like this too. Did you know you can get Octane Monkey gear at octanemonkey.com? That's right, we got shirts, hats, stickers, even car parts. If you like this video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button.